You've probably seen the headlines this week, right? Claude Mythos leaked, Anthropic's most powerful model exposed. Every AI influencer is racing to tell you what it can do. But here's the thing. Most of what's out there is just pure speculation, or frankly, it's just plain wrong. I've spent the last few days digging through every official source, every leaked draft, every reputable report I could find. And the real story is so much more interesting and honestly a lot more concerning than all the hype. We're going to get to the bottom of it. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll break down what the Mythos leak actually is. Then we'll dig into the real cybersecurity story that's driving this whole thing. After that, we'll look at the incredible power you can already use with Claude today. And we'll finish up with a practical playbook so you are ready to go on day one. All right, so first things first, what actually happened here? Well, sometime back in late March of 2026, some unpublished materials, including what looked a lot like a draft for a blog post, were accidentally left accessible in a public cache right on Anthropic's own website. And just like that, the name Claude Mythos was everywhere. Now, instead of trying to deny it, Anthropic just came out and confirmed it. Yep, they're testing a new model. And you gotta pay attention to their exact words here. They called it a step change in capability. But they also made it super clear that they're being extremely careful with this release, only trying it out with a very small, select group of customers. Think about that. When a company builds something this powerful and then hits the brakes, that tells you something really important is going on. Okay, to cut through all the noise, we have to separate what we know into 3 different buckets. Bucket number 1, what has Anthropic directly confirmed? Simple. They are developing a general-purpose model with big advances in reasoning, coding, and cybersecurity. That's it. Bucket number 2, what's being reported by legit sources? Outlets like Fortune, TechCrunch, and Axios are saying the leaked stuff specifically used the name Claude Mythos, and that it was positioned as a whole new tier above Opus, really highlighting these crazy cybersecurity risks. And then there's bucket 3, the big unknowns. We have no official API model ID, no idea what the context window is, no pricing, no clue what modalities it handles. So if anyone's giving you specifics on that stuff, they're just guessing. And all of this leads us to the real story here. See that whole cybersecurity angle? It isn't just marketing fluff to make the model sound powerful. It is the #1 reason this thing is being rolled out so cautiously. To really get the risk here, we have to rewind the clock a few months before the leak even happened. Back in late 2025, Anthropic published this incredibly detailed report on a landmark event, the very first documented case of a cyber espionage campaign that was orchestrated almost entirely by AI. And this just perfectly illustrates the threat. In that report, Anthropic said they identified with high confidence a Chinese state-sponsored group that was using AI models with tool access to autonomously run a full-blown attack. I mean, from the initial recon all the way to stealing the data. The AI was doing a huge chunk of the work all on its own. So the really crucial part is how they did it. The attackers didn't just type in, "Hey, AI, hack this system." No. They got around the safety guardrails by breaking their malicious goal down into tons of tiny, innocent-looking subtasks. Each individual request on its own looked totally harmless. It was only when you strung that whole sequence together that the dangerous intent became crystal clear. So now you take that reality and you pair it with a model that its own creators are calling a step change in reasoning and coding. You can see the problem, right? The very same abilities that make it an absolute game changer for good guys also make it a uniquely dangerous weapon for bad guys. This is the classic dual-use problem, and it is the tension sitting right at the heart of this entire Mythos story. Okay, so while everyone's obsessing over Mythos, let's pivot to something really practical. The current lineup of Claude models is genuinely a powerhouse, and to be honest, most people aren't even scratching the surface of what it can do. The absolute standout feature? A 1 million token context window for both Opus and Sonnet. No, that is not a typo. We're talking about feeding entire code bases, massive legal documents, or years of financial reports into a single prompt. The current family has 3 tiers, which makes it pretty easy. You've got Opus 4.6. That's the flagship, the big brain for your absolute toughest tasks. Then there's Sonnet 4.6, the balanced model, which is kind of the perfect sweet spot for most day-to-day workflows. And finally, you've got Haiku 4.5, the speed demon. It's cheap, it's fast, and it's awesome for high-volume tasks. And it still has an impressive 200,000 token context window. And look, the tooling ecosystem is so solid. It gives you everything you need to build really powerful agent-like workflows today. You can connect to external APIs, automate stuff on your desktop, execute code, analyze both the text and the visuals inside of PDFs, search the web, and get reliable, structured outputs. The whole infrastructure is already there, ready for you to build on. All right, let's talk about the money. For developers, the API is priced per million tokens. But here's the trick that smart builders are using: batch processing. It gives you a flat 50% discount. 50%! And using prompt caching can also slash your costs and your latency. Getting this stuff right now is going to make a massive difference when a more expensive model like Mythos finally shows up. Okay, so this brings us to the final and most practical question. If you can't use Mythos today, what should you be doing right now to get ready for it? Here are 4 absolutely crucial steps. 1. Build model-agnostic systems. You should be able to swap between Opus, Sonnet, and Mythos just by changing a single environment variable, not by rewriting your code. 2. Implement your guardrails and your monitoring now. That espionage report makes it obvious this is non-negotiable. 3. Invest in your cost infrastructure. Get that caching and batching set up. And 4. Treat long context as a serious engineering problem. Don't just trust the advertised number. Test your quality at the actual lengths you plan to use. So here's the bottom line. Claude Mythos is real. Anthropic is absolutely testing a new frontier model. But the real story here isn't about the hype. It's about this constant tension between its incredible, world-changing potential and its inherent unprecedented risk, which kind of leaves us all with one big question to think about. Is a step change in AI capability really worth the risk that comes along with it?